This week I had an opportunity to meet with one of my clients and the professional advisors, and it was a really great experience. And it reminded me of a number of the bad experiences that I've had as well. And so what I'm going to do today is try to help you understand what to look out for if you're working with professional advisors. Stay with me. Okay, so this week I had a great experience working with one of my clients, and we had around the table a couple CPAs, and we had the attorney there, and the whole idea was try to figure out what's the right strategy to use if we're going to help the client transition the business to the next generation, and whether or not we use irrevocable trusts, gifting, what do you hold on to, what do you sell? We went through everything, and the experience was so good because the CPAs brought up information that the attorney and I didn't know. The attorney brought up information that none of the others knew. I was able to bring up a few things as well, but a lot of what I did was just ask questions, and then what I provided was a bunch of clarity on what the financials of the estate look like, and what things will change if we do option A, option B, option C, and so on. It was a great meeting of collaboration, and nobody's ego was on the table. Everybody was humble. Everybody showed respect for each other, and we worked hard to come up with the right ideas for the client. When the client had questions, we had different give and take on how to maybe establish the right answers that are going to work for the client. It was an ideal meeting. I walked out of it feeling really, really great. But let me tell you, I've been in meetings that weren't good at all. Not good at all. And what happens typically when you have a bad meeting, when you're trying to collaborate with a client's professional advisors, is you walk in the room, you make introductions. Normally when I go into a meeting, I've done a lot of front-end work. I've pulled all the financial statements together. I've done the estate tax calculations. We've looked at if we gift, what the net effect of the estate is. If we sell assets to an intentionally defective trust, what it looks like. We do the before planning and the after planning. And what's also wrapped up in our work is doing assessments on the children, the management team, to see what kind of people we've got to take over and run the business when the founders or the people that own the stock today are looking at transitioning out. When I go into those meetings, I have a lot of homework that I've done. Recently, I had an experience where the legal team for the client were family members. And we sent to them a week or two ahead of that meeting all the work we've done. I fully expected to go into the meeting, have them say, Nabity, we looked through your work. This looked like it was solid. This looked like it wasn't, or this needs to be changed, or your sense of what's happening here wasn't right. It really needs to look like this. I was really hoping to go in and really have great give and take back and forth because I don't know everything, and I love to rely on professional advisors to help everything get better. And these folks didn't even look at the work. They didn't even look at it. And after we had a conversation, they basically said, okay, we'll look into stuff and we'll try to figure it out. They had absolutely no intention of collaborating whatsoever. They viewed me as a threat instead of an ally and somebody that could really help. And they had no intentions of embracing any of the work that I've done to try to protect their own turf. I don't know whether it was insecurity. I don't know whether it was fear of looking bad in the eyes of the client. But the net effect of it all is we got nowhere, absolutely nowhere. So the first thing I want you to think about is, will your CPA and attorney collaborate? Will they take the work that somebody else has done, analyze it, work with it, build on it, and try to get a roadmap that's efficient to get the client to where the client can understand what's going on and actually make the right decisions with the family estate and with the family business. Now, it's not all numbers, and it's not all forecasts, and it's not all estate taxes when you're looking at doing the planning for a client. A lot of it is studying the emotional intelligence, the maturity, the business competence, the age and experience. It's also looking at the personal life and what kind of personal choices are they making about their lifestyle. Are they working hard to grow their intelligence and competence and emotional maturity, or are they just sitting there feeling entitled and maybe even lazy? Getting into those issues is something that's real important. Typically, the CPAs and the attorneys will avoid that. That's one of the things that we like to do a good assessment on, because we want to make sure that if mom and dad transition a business to the children, that the children are ready, they're capable, and we have the highest probability of those children succeeding. So that information needs to be part of a collaborative meeting with the CPAs and the attorneys and the clients. It needs to be well vetted. Like I said, most attorneys and CPAs do not want to go down that road. A lot of times it's just not in their wheelhouse. It's not what they do. Sometimes it's such a touchy subject that they don't want to run the risk of maybe alienating the client. The other thing to look out for is those who are control freaks. You get in a meeting, they want to be the one that's viewed as being the smartest. They want to be the one that assembles all the information. They might stiff arm different advisors. They don't want to be in a position to where they collaborate. They want to be in charge and be in control. And those people usually, at the end of the day, do bad work in the long run because they don't listen and they don't work with other people that should be around the table working with the client. Let me shift to insurance agents. When it comes to life insurance in an estate plan or a succession plan, it should be the last thing that's discussed. One of the things we bump into is clients that will be dealing with an insurance agent from a career agency, and they'll come in and they'll do some calculations to determine what the estate tax is. And then the quick thing is to put a life insurance policy in place to pay the estate taxes. And they don't do enough of the work to figure out how you can build the estate so that you don't need life insurance to pay estate taxes. They just build things in such a way that it looks like the tax liability is bad and you need to buy life insurance. And oh, by the way, the type of policy you ought to buy is a whole life policy. You'll see that a lot. And agents will justify a whole life policy because it's secure and it's backed up by a mutual company. But in all the cost analysis work that we've seen, whole life policies are the absolute most expensive policy you can buy. They don't have flexible premiums. You're not in a position to where if you have good years, you can fund more, and in bad years, you can fund less. You don't have a situation where you can invest whatever values that are in the policy in the market to try to get a lot better rate of returns than low interest bond rates of returns. So I want you to be aware of advisors that are from insurance agencies that come in. They want to do a quick analysis and then figure out a way for you to buy a life insurance policy without doing what I'm talking about, doing the thorough research on what's happening with the family, the children, the management team, what it looks like today from an estate tax standpoint. But if you put 3 or 4 different strategies in place, what the net effect of it can be, so that if insurance is needed, it's the least amount possible. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about is people that promote family offices. Having a family office group come in and study every piece of every account you have and analyzing it in such a way that it can be put into real-time software, that's a good thing. I don't have a problem with that. The problem I have with people that are promoting family offices is they basically want to take somebody with a heartbeat that walks in the door and they want to sell them everything. They look at the client as a warehouse for money, And so they're going to try to put the investment account together. They're going to try to sell the Medicare supplements. They're going to try to sell the long-term care. They're going to try to sell the life insurance, disability insurance, you name it, annuities, whatever they could possibly overwhelm the client with to sell them to make revenue. That's what they're doing. They're calling it a holistic approach to serving a client. If you pull back the curtain, what's really going on is they're looking for every opportunity to make money off you if you walk in the door. So it's very, very important, I think, to have specialists that do investment management, specialists that do tax planning, specialists that do legal work, specialists that do the insurance consulting. And then when it comes to management consulting, making sure you've got people that can really go in and analyze the family and figure out the right thing to do. You shouldn't be a warm body that walks in the door that they just do everything they can to sell you stuff and they call it a family office. Now, last thing I want to say is this. You need to have advisors that give you good management information that you can make good business decisions with. What's it look like if I do this? What's it look like if I do that? If I'm looking at option A, this is the tax savings. If I look at option B, this is the tax savings. If I look at option C, I can see what happens if I use charitable giving or charitable trust, or if I look at selling my company to an ESOP, employee stock ownership plan, or what if I do a management buyout of some type. You need to be able to have the management information brought to you by your team so you can make a good decision. You got it all laid out there. You don't want to do things in a silo where you're working with somebody that wants to go down one road and they don't give you all the management information you need to make good decisions. There's a lot of people out there that call themselves financial advisors, estate planners, business advisors. There's a lot of different attorneys and CPAs out there that you can work with. Make sure that you're working with people that are competent but kind, people that will collaborate and go into meetings without a big ego, trying to control everything going around the table and stiff-arming other people that might be bringing in good ideas. That's really, really key. This meeting I had last week really emphasized how wonderful it is to be in a room with people that collaborate because the client gets to a better place. And that's what all of us should be hoping for when you're doing the kind of work that we do for clients. Hopefully that's helpful. Give me a call, 402-391-0222. If you'd like to chat about what's going on with your business and your family, you can also go to nabity.com, my website. And we've got a lot of different videos and podcasts on there that will give you information as well. Let me know how I can help. Thanks so much.